for example, Lauren, what's happening in this scene? What's going on here? Tell us what.
She is testing a machine that she's trying to create based on the Tickler time tunnel. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. You know, time travel in science fiction. Well, time travel is really not possible, right? That we think. But so all this research, I was trying to find the best. I was going to build a big time machine for a short film, so I wanted to build sort of a prototype of something that could work. This is like her version of it, sort of like a garage scientist kind of thing. And so we made it. I teach filmmaking at NYU, and we have access to students in ITP, which is like an interactive telecommunications program, and they do science and art. So I had a student create this machine, and it sort of out of all these weird parts. And I think it came out pretty good. I think it sold it enough to the audience. You saw the whole film, right?
Oh,
awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Remember, you're talking to the audience, not just us.
Oh, great. Okay, great. Yeah. So all of it to have seen it. And so one of the things in building this machine, I was trying to figure out how to make it just enough to sell it, but not too much to make it like not believable. So it's kind of a fine line between that stuff when you're trying to do science. I think these sorts of machines in science fiction are these sort of like extra real or surreal kind of magical, you know what I mean, things. So that was like a challenging. So, and I'm just finishing the feature film version of this. So this is sort of like the first act. Mm-hmm. And the second act, he comes back and then all kinds of things happen. And the third act, well, I won't tell you what happens. But I'm thinking of actually changing the machine. I learned a lot making the short film. What worked and what didn't work. And so it really helped feed into making the feature version. Mm-hmm. And I think I might want to make an actual machine in the film. Maybe be more magical. I don't know what your thoughts are.
So is this the program, the telecommunications program? Is it an actual, do they actually have technical classes or engineering classes?
They do, yeah, they do science and art. It's called Interactive Telecommunications Program. It's a master's program at NYU. It's probably 10 or 15 years old. They do some pretty incredible work. A lot of like wearable body stuff. Big screens, big games. So it's a lot of like JavaScript, and they do a lot of VR and AR, and it's also art.
Yeah, it sounds like the Cal Arts program.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we went to their final demo day a couple years ago. It was pretty amazing. Lots of hands-on Arduino boards, IoT.
Yep,
a lot of AR, VR. And I noticed a lot of the people who are graduates of these type of programs now work at AR, VR companies.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're like, it's funny things because I teach filmmaking, and you know, you can't like VR and AR. I feel like it's this whole wide open field because people are having trouble cracking. I think the narrative storytelling, trying to translate from film, it's really not translatable. So these folks sort of have a step up in that. I think they're not sort of boxed in by the way you're just shooting and editing, right?
So how did you direct the students to, because obviously on the one hand, make something usable, but the audience can't relate to it. So what was the fine line? How did you make it actually something that would fit into a script and someone could see how it's working?
Well, with all the designers, like they read the script, and then I walked them through all my lookbooks. So I showed them like machines. We talked about Steampunk a lot. Sort of trying to figure out how to make this machine look like it could do something, but obviously we didn't have a lot of money. So it's a pretty bare bones. That is actually a sound oscillator. And we sort of rigged it so that we used Arduinos and some other program, I don't even know what it is, to make all the lights and all that other stuff. And then we literally had someone underneath the table shake the table. All the effects are in camera. None of them are in post. Which is a decision that I made, I think worked out, but
Yeah, I think that's like, it's almost like a happy accident, right? With the steampunk type motives, you can do the whole analog, and the viewers who's not technical can still understand it. So it's to like something like Hackers, where someone is just typing, but it's unrealistic. If you actually know how to hack, they're not actually hacking.
Right, exactly. It's really boring to watch someone type, right, on screen, or someone talk on a cell phone. So you're trying to visualize, right, the drama, I suppose. Yeah, Steampunk was kind of a big influence for the creation of this. And I think the production designer did an excellent job. She put the whole thing. She was amazing. She really put it all together. But yeah.
So
I have a question. I just have a quick question. So you've seen the film. So watching the trailer, does it make? It's so hard for me to tell if it makes sense, or that it's just sort of this visual thing that makes you want to watch it.
Okay, that's a good question, and I would say that the trailer does provide a small amount of information about the film. If I didn't, if I was just walking into this and I didn't know a whole lot about movies or film, I would see this and I would say that, okay, what's going on here? You might need, if you want my assessment right here.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
I would think that if you didn't do anything else to the video, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I would put a little narrative on top of it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Have her narrate a little bit.
You know what? That's a really good idea. I think we can do that.
You wouldn't have to put a whole lot of investment in it, okay?
Just a little bit.
Her great voice could be on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all you need.
That's smart. I'm going to do that. Thank you for that.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, cool. Great. Because it's hard to tell when you edit it.
I used to hang out over there by NYU when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah?
You guys have one of the best urban campuses on the planet.
Yeah. Now it's all shut down, but I'm teaching from home. It's weird. Yeah, but I'm grateful that we can still do it. So.
Yeah, but keep going. And
thank you. Yeah.
That's good. It's a good film.
Thank you.
So where did you film this? Is it on campus or?
No, this is up in Woodstock, New York.
Oh, wow.
So the actors in it are grad acting. I don't know if the program is a really pretty prestigious program. They're great. Production designers, NYU grad production designing. The composer is from NYU. I've been there for 10 years, so I have a lot of resources. And some of the students are part of the crew.
So is this is this like a typical thing where the professor makes a short film with the students as opposed to the students making it themselves?
I think there are professors who use, after they graduated, obviously. Okay. I think it's not unusual. I mean, students make obviously that's what we teach when they make the films, in different levels throughout the year. But I think other professors definitely have worked with collaborating, especially, well, we're not in the same, like scenic design and music are totally different departments than us. On this level of budget, you have to work with what you have, and they're really talented. I love the music in this. I think he's a really talented guy. It was really fun to work with him too on it, talking about different influences and then different feelings and then bringing it in and out and figuring out how to, I think he did great. Yeah. I'm really pleased with the way it came out.
Great.
The mood is wonderful to it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. When you're asking about what we get from it, I mean, I can't speak well to plot, but just from the sound alone to how you use the camera work to it, there's an immediate sense of the type of story we're in for that. I mean, speaking purely for myself, I'm on board.
Sure. Oh, great. great. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty strong in the world that I make. And I'm hoping that this will translate, into a larger piece, whatever. But that's cool. That's great. It's intriguing, and you sort of like what's going to happen, and you feel an atmosphere. Oh, sweet. Yeah. Like I said, I love the music, and the woman who shot the film did great too. I'm sorry.
The cinematography, your lighting is very nice.
Yeah.
Some shots are done very well. What kind of camera did you use?
We used the Alexa Classic,
Alexa?
which is like the older. Yeah, the Alexa. I wanted to use the Mini, but it was just too expensive. The Alexa Mini would have been, because the Classic is pretty heavy. And it's only 2K. And so, of course, we didn't get all the coverage we needed. And like, if we shoot 2K, you can't punch it for the close-up. So I'll never do that again. Right. We shoot 4K. But yeah, I had a pretty big rig. Yeah. She was actually a graduate of the Brooklyn College of the master's program there. They started that program in 2014, which I'll actually be teaching there in the fall. So.
Wow.
A whole new set of students. Yeah. as well as NYU.
Stimson, can
Yeah.
you tell us about Spirit?
Yeah, Spirit was inspired by an XKCD comic of the same name about the Mars Spirit rover. And what we did is we
cool.
shot this 10-minute version of it, which is all live action with an entirely computer generated rover. Going through basically in which we humanize and personify the rover to make a film that's very much targeted for kids.
Is this real imagery?
Oh yeah, the entire
Wow,
it was
so
well
cool.
beyond our budget to CG backgrounds on this. So, but we had a fantastic animation team doing
That's
the
cool.
compositing and working with the rover. And we also had a wonderful actress by the name of Carissa Adams, who was out in Death Valley with us, who did performance reference for every little thing the rover does. And because the rover had to move in these clear sort of circular lines like the real machine were, we have a lot of very hilarious behind the scenes footage of this actress walking back and forth in these weird ways to get the motion right. And that's what we built the performance off of. So the shooting itself, it was all basically just plates, which had the weird... It was weird for me as a director because it felt like being back in film school because it was the smallest crew I think I have had in my adult life. It was only maybe about 7 people for the 4-day shoot. It was just very strange.
So how did you get in touch with everyone from JPL, from SpaceX? It's quite an ambitious project for a short film. Great job.
For most part, it was relatively straightforward, actually, because we weren't because all this stuff is things we don't need permission to do, because we're talking about real science stuff. Most of them, when they found out that out of my own pocket that we just wanted to do this thing to give the schools, if schools wanted it, we're very happy to help out. Later on, we were able to get Steve Squires, who was the chief science for the entire 15-year mission, and is currently the chief scientist for Blue Origin. When he found out about it, he was happy to come on camera. I even tried to pay him, and he emphatically refused because he just wanted to help out with the education point. Now, admittedly, I didn't fight him too hard on that front. And then for Gabe, what happened was our original animation team was not large enough. It was going to be this group of students who were just out of school. And the work became too much. So what it ended up being is the students built the model and the various skin textures, but then we needed to bring in Gabe, and a friend of a friend who I've been working with all the way back since high school reached out to Gabe on my behalf and set up an introduction. So that was and then as far as the voiceover actress was concerned, that was just a matter of that was just the old fashioned way. Called up the agent, talked a little bit.
Where can we see this other than the festival?
At the moment, nowhere, because it's still in the festival circuit. We are going to be going into distribution to schools through ShareSpace and the Buzz Aldrin Family Foundation. And that's where it's going to start to become available to kids.
Stimson, to sum up, where is this? What's next for you? What's next?
Well, the next earliest place it's going to be seen is in the next couple of weeks. It will become available to kids through certain academics groups, including ShareSpace and the Aldrin Family Foundation. And we're in talks with several other distributors beyond that. The thing is, this is a film targeted firmly for kids. The goal behind it is to make a film that gets 8 to 10-year-olds excited to learn about science. And so that's one of the reasons that even beyond the business and festival reason of not being crazy about putting it on YouTube, we also want to get it into schools because it gets it to that audience that we want to see. Again, Gabe's work on this was, I cannot sing the praises of the animation team on this strongly enough, the work they did. So, and it's every single shot. I mean, it's 12 minutes of CG beginning to end.
What is your background, Stimson, as far as like the background that made you want to do this project?
Filmmaker. I went to college for film. Straight out of school, I worked for a small commercial company, which was run by the same guy who put me in contact with the animation team when I needed to find one. And then I moved to LA after a couple years in Seattle, putzed around between 50 million short films, usually as the director of photography. and moved more solidly into directing, which is my more comfortable area, which is great because as a director of photography, I'm mediocre on my best day. I'm very happy to have much more talented DPs working for me. The DP on Spirit was a guy named Jay Rugatini, who is just a beast, what he can do. If you check the IMDb for Spirit and look up Jay's work, that man is building a resume that is terrifying in its strength.
And then, so you went to LA, and then what was the genesis for this particular project?
Oh, the genesis was the comic. XKCD everyone here familiar with XKCD at all? We're all sci-fi science fans. XKCD is a stick figure webcomic that's been going for almost 20 years and is basically the most popular webcomic with actual scientists and people who work within the community for how smart and spot on it is. And it put out a comic about Spirit when the real Spirit rover died. And it simply inspired me, and it just went from there because I thought it was a very touching comic. And even though it's a 9-panel comic that I've expanded into a 12-minute film, you can still find all the original beats from that comic strip in the finished film.